we gotta raise up both parties. Both parties need to be able to do all things. We need to be the best that we can be for everything to work. You know what I mean? Because we
Well,
want the men to be the best they can be for our
and
women.
I'll be very frank. And again, ladies, close your ears. I don't think it's an effective use of time, bringing most women into our space to discuss these things, because it's just typically an argument. Even though you can bring up scriptures and things of that nature, what I've come to find, and it's heartbreaking, that most women are not empathetic with a man's plight and what they go through. And we can sit and line up man after man and say, hey, you need to lose the weight. Punch him in the stomach next. Hey, why don't you have two jobs? You're only making $20,000 a year. Get yourself together and go be productive. Next. What's up with that resume? You said you're going to have it done, 3 weeks ago. Let me hold you accountable. What's the deal with you? When's the last time you did a Bible study? And men don't complain. But when we have these same kind of critiques for women, it's a knockdown, drag out argument on every single minutia of topics. And I know we differ in this opinion, but we do bring the women in like monthly to talk about this. But I don't think it's always an effective use of time. And I feel bad about that. But I think we need to, like Hosea, the book of Hosea says that God isn't concerned about the women sinning and acting a fool. He's concerned about the men, because the men are the ones that he's holding accountable. And that's kind of how I see it. It's like, we're not going to be able to hold women accountable until we're doing the right thing. And maybe I'm wrong. And maybe
I want to push back on that a little bit, because I think it's good to have the open dialogue to talk about this stuff.
Totally.
Right. Now, whether women want to take the advice and do something with it and get better and hold themselves accountable, that's up to them. Just listening when you was playing some of the stuff with Ebony K. Williams, kind of just putting it out there, just being real and being honest, and there was pushback on the show, right? Just not wanting to just listen to what another woman has to say to another woman. But all that being said, having the dialogue in this space, men and women, just hearing it, I think is a good thing, just to have that conversation. Now,
maybe
again,
so.
Yeah.
I think that, man, I'm getting a little bit emotional here, but I really feel that for the first time in decades, men are telling women how they feel and what their issues are in relationships. And as a result of that, women are by and large saying, we don't care. We're going to do what we want. And if you don't like it, you're going to have to just work with it. But I believe that God man was fearfully made. I think that we are allowed to have our perspective. We're allowed to have our standards. We're allowed to have our biological imperative and want to date who we want to date, not based off something that's sinful, but because we're men. And I think that that's been lost in the sauce a lot. And I see so many men that have no self-esteem. They have no sense of what their value is. And they just accept anything in their lives. The thing is, women don't want men to be like that. And we don't want men to be like that. But once we start talking and speaking to men, it becomes a bit of a problem, because now they have a preference and a standard. But isn't that what we need in men? So that's why I say let's focus on men, and maybe the women will catch up 20 years from now, but I'm not optimistic. It's going to take a miracle from God.
Yeah, but I think also, on the flip side, I think what we also trying to teach as women is that, they have choices, you know what I mean, where they can choose the right man. It doesn't have to be the status quo man. You know what I mean?
That's what they want, though, DK. They want that guy who's exemplary,
Yeah, but think about it. I mean, when I was 20, I wanted $1 million. If I got $1 million, I was 20.
These women ain't 20 wanting $1 million. They're 40 wanting $1 million.
Nah, but you know what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that, what I mean, we should be teaching them that it's okay if everybody else doesn't agree with your decision. If this is a person that you like, whether maybe they don't have the high paying job, you know what I mean? But guess what? They're a good protector and they can provide for you enough. But they filled up. They're 90-10. They might not have the 10. You know what I mean? Because a lot of women, I say 90-10, but 80-20 really, a lot of women will leave a man, you know what I mean, for that 20, you know what I mean, go chase that 20 instead of accepting the 80.
Our women, by and large, and this is me speaking, Our women, by and large, are not interested in dating the bottom 80% of men. That man could be in church every Sunday with his hair that's not lined up and all 5'5" of him doing pipe and drape and helping behind the scenes. That man is invisible to these women.
Slow down on 5'5".
Bruh.
Nonetheless, all I'm saying is that man could be doing everything that David was doing. But if he don't look like he's supposed to look like, if he ain't successful, like he's overlooked, and
Yeah,
we can change women's
yeah,
mind on that.
yeah, but what I'm saying is what I'm trying to teach them is that you're missing out on a king, right? You missing out on David. You know what I mean? Because David wasn't chosen. You know what I mean? David wasn't the one that Saul came and said, "Hey, yeah, there you go." You know what I mean? His dad left him out in the field because he wasn't everything. He wasn't the status quo king. But really, the king is really what's inside of you. You know what I mean? So if you're choosing,
Women ain't looking at that, man.
I mean, but guess what? But that's really what they want, though. You know what I mean? The crazy part, if they actually get that, if they actually get that king, if they actually get the person who's out, in
They
the
want him
field,
when he's a king, not when he's carrying bags. They're not.
Yeah.
They're not trying to build with no bag carrier. They trying
Nah,
to. They trying
yeah.
to build with the king.
I know, but you messed my point up. My point is that what I'm saying. If they would search for them, if they can see what's in them, like I said, my wife saw what was in me. Like I mean, I didn't see it. You know what I mean? Like you got to see what's in someone. Like if you're in tune with the spirit, you can see like, hey, yeah, he might be working. How Kanye said, you know, he might be working at McDonald's now, but you got to see what he's going to be. You know what I mean? You really got to see. You know what I mean? What God put in him. You know, he put so much more in him. You know what I mean? And that's what it is.
Well, I will say this to kind of part that whole philosophy of what you're thinking and what I'm thinking. Men, you do matter, and you may not have women falling at your feet. You may not be the most popular guy. You may not be 6 foot, making 6 figures, and all this other stuff. But God still has a purpose for you, and God wants to use you. Women are not the end all, beat all. We should focus on our purpose. Over here, we talk about focusing on making pizza, and we need to find people that are going to help us make pizza. So we as men need to have the mentality that despite the way the world sees us, especially as Christian men, that we do have value in God's eyes. And I tip my hat off to every man that's working on his personal value, despite what the world is saying.
Now give me 2 claps and a Ric Flair.